Welcome. You're listening to the best of investing on News Talk 910. You know our show. It's where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. And for those of you listening for the first time, because we have a lot of new listeners, imagine a few guys sitting around a bar having drinks without the drinks, talking business with you, the audience listening in. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm pleased to have as my co-host Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing private lender, and Rick Warner, a new co-host who's been a guest on the show.
Back again,
yeah.
Happy to be back.
Good, thank you, from Keller Williams Realty. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Now write that number down, 888-912-1190, because you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. You got it. We're giving away 9 vacations during this show. The vacations are sponsored by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. The vacations are free. Their only request, a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. You can reach them at 916-777-5511. And today's trivia theme is women in the James Bond films. That'll be kind of fun. It's going to be hard, though, I'll tell you.
Topical.
Okay, our website is bestofinvesting.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube by typing Best of Investing Radio Show and click the like feature. Isn't that what they do? Click the like feature.
Like us.
Like us. There you go. And we're also on television, Comcast Channel 26, Saturdays at noon and Sundays at 6 p.m. And today we have a special guest, Howard Dvorkan of Credit, who's going to discuss credit counseling with us. Howard, welcome to the Best of Investing.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so go ahead, Mark.
Hey, Howard, how does your company differ from some of the companies we have read about, and I guess in the last couple of years, that have gotten themselves into trouble with credit repair?
Well, I represent and founded Consolidated Credit Counseling, and to be very candid with you, you don't read about us, and we don't get ourselves in trouble, and that's one major difference. But the fact of the matter is we are in this business, and we've been doing this for 20 years. We're regulated by every major financial institution and financial regulator in the country. So, I mean, we have a lot of people to answer to. And to be very candid with you, we're one of the most dynamic and certainly one of the largest credit counseling agencies in the world.
So, Howard, exactly what is credit counseling?
Credit counseling is an often confused term. And what we do versus a lot of other people that sound like credit counseling, but typically isn't, is we go through and work on plans with consumers, and we're able to save them a tremendous amount of money and on their finances, but basically get them on a path where instead of continuing their path of just being on the treadmill of credit, we're able to go through and negotiate with their creditors and advise these people on which direction to go.
Generally, Howard, how do you generally do that? So someone owes $25,000 on their credit card. What kind of steps do you take?
I mean, we figure out first how much income is coming in. We figure out how much expenses on a monthly basis is going out the door, and we try to help consumers limit those expenses and make changes to their budget so they can afford the bills. But then we look at their bills and figure out what they can reasonably afford to pay, and we try to lower the interest rates and reduce the payments so to make the payment manageable, but more importantly, pay off the debt in a reasonable period of time.
And what do you do differently that the average consumer wouldn't do if they just called directly? Is it just the fact that there's a third party involved?
Well, it's a third party, but we're a credible party. As I said, we've been in this business for 20 years. And in doing so, we have $2.5 billion of the creditors' money under management. So they all know us, and when they find out that we're involved, the terms change virtually automatically.
It's like hiring Melvin Belli in the old days, with a high-powered attorney. Rick, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I did have a question. For those people who maybe, the credit score is just kind of this mystical number. What's your credit score? I don't know what it is. And how did it get to where it was and all that? Can you give us maybe 2 or 3 good tips for consumers to keep their credit score good or to make it better by just virtue of maybe knowing how the credit scoring works?
Well, the credit score it's really not that mystical. I mean, there are certain things that the scoring bureaus look at, and essentially obviously. If you pay your bills on time, that's a big help.
Sure.
If you don't carry too much debt, that's another big help. Make sure that you're not signing for other people's debt, meaning sponsoring or co-signing for somebody. You got to be careful
What
about
if you're
that.
Hey, Howard, what if you're a guarantor on someone else's loan, but you didn't actually co-sign? Does that even show up?
Typically, it depends on the creditor. Guarantors typically don't show up like on a mortgage. However, if you're co-signing, it typically does. And the scary part about that is if they miss a payment or default from the loan, it will show up on your credit score. And I recommend never to co-sign for anybody's loan for any reason.
So Howard, how does credit counseling, if you're helping someone, get their out of control revolving debt under control?
First, take the scissors and cut up the credit card.
Right.
That's what you say first.
How does that impact their credit score? Since we're talking about credit scores, how does credit counseling impact a consumer's credit score?
Well, it depends. I mean, in consolidated credit, we go through and we take a very, very sincere look and make sure that our programs do not impact the consumer. It really depends on what stage they come in. If they've missed a few payments here and there, if they've defaulted, obviously it's only a help because after 3 payments, their accounts are re-aged and brought current. There should be no material impact to someone's credit other than a notification, possibly on the credit report that says you're in credit counseling. It's not a negative detraction from your credit score, which we've checked with the folks at Fair Isaac many, many times, and that is not included in their scoring methodology.
I know that sometimes.
At the end of the day, there is no impact.
Yeah, the thing that's kind of interesting sometimes, though, Howard, is what they call a hard pull and a soft pull. With the credit, when you're just trying to, if you're, let's say, given a credit card or going for an auto loan, and they have to pull your credit report, and that does ding your credit score.
Well, you have to be very, very concerned with your credit when you're pulling your credit report, because every time you pull your credit report, it's 4 points deducted from your score. And if you do it 10 times, that's 40 points, which could be the difference between good credit and bad credit. So you got to be real careful. If you give people permission to pull your credit report, don't do it in excess.
But isn't it true though, if you do it within a 2-week or 3-week window or something, if they see multiple pulls, it still only counts for the one pull because they assume maybe you're out shopping for a loan or whatever it is, and so there's some credit given for that.
Depending on which scoring methodology, that may be accurate.
Well, Howard, I find out what I'm actually surprised to hear you say that credit counseling, pleasantly surprised that it doesn't necessarily impact negatively someone's credit score. Because I think that was the knock on a lot of other companies out there that was really that it really did impact significantly the consumer's credit score to go in and try to renegotiate your credit card debt.
Right. Well, as I said, consolidated credit does pure credit counseling. A lot of our times we're talking to people and we're not actually handling their credit. We're just giving them advice on how to get out of debt. However, there are firms, debt settlement firms, which your credit really goes down the toilet very, very fast. And that is not credit counseling. That's a completely different industry, but it sounds similar to credit counseling and is often confused with credit counseling. So there's a big difference between the two.
Okay. Howard Dvorkan is helping us with credit counseling. Howard, stay with us for just a minute. We're going to be going to a commercial break here. And here is our first trivia question. Again, the theme is women of James Bond films. Which Bond girl married a Beatle and starred in The Spy Who Loved Me? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. In fact, I think she married Ringo Starr, if I'm not mistaken. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. And the first 3 callers with the correct answer are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay there. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Which James Bond girl married a Beatle, Ringo Starr, and starred in The Spy Who Loved Me? 912-1190. Make sure to include your name and your email address, and speak slowly and spell out your email for us one letter at a time, and we'll be right back. Okay.
Awesome.
Good.
Good first segment.
All right.
Oh, can I play Barbara Bach?
Yeah, okay, now you can say it. Now that we just came off. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I didn't know the answer to that. I was just going to say pussy galore.
You just wanted to say
Pussy.
pussy.
You
I
just
just
wanted
wanted
to
to
say
say
that.
pussy, that's right.
Okay.
Very few times you can get away with saying that.
Hey, Howard.
That's true.
Yes,
I
sir.
was going to ask you if, about the difference of impact, if it's okay with these guys. Short sale versus foreclosure. That's a super hot topic
That's
for
good.
people.
Because that's one of your trivia. That's the email question we received for you, which is I've been thinking about buying a short sale property. How long should I expect it to close?
Okay, yeah, which is semi-related, but yeah, it's a good. I definitely can answer that question too.
Sure. No problem.
All right. So
Because there's, I know there's the impact on your score, but then there's the impact of what the lenders look at too. Is that something you're comfortable talking about, or are you
I
pretty
mean,
much?
we could chat about it. We have one of the largest housing practices, at least in Florida. It's not the largest housing practice in Florida. So I could have a reasonable, intelligent conversation on that.
Yeah, I don't want to go on and on. Just a kind of a short,
Right.
how many
Not a
points
problem.
yeah, or whatever. Yeah.
and then at the end we'll make sure that we ask you how do people get a hold of you if they're interested
Sure.
in credit counseling. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Sure thing. So we're always nice to our guests.
How long have you guys been doing the show?
About 10 minutes for me.
Yeah.
As long as you've been.
A little over 2 years on the show.
Terrific. You guys are really good.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So what we'll do is we'll come back. Rick, you'll ask your question.
Okay.
And then is there anything else that we wanted to ask?
Well, I just was going to make a comment. I thought it bears repeating that credit counseling is not debt settlement, because that's where my confusion was.
Yeah.
Because the commercials, you hear so many of them, and they just kind of blend in, and a lot of those companies are, in fact, I think, calling to try to settle debt, negotiate debt down by.
And that's where your credit, because in order for debt settlement to be successful, you have to stop paying your bills for months, and that's where your accounts get all charged off.
Okay, save that for the air, okay?
Good.
Perfect.
Does it make sense to ask how much he charges, or how does this work? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, because people need to know. That's what audience is going to be interested in that.
I'm curious.
Ask that too.
Good.
Okay.
All right.
What state are you guys in?
California.
Okay, great.
Okay, so again, we got 5 seconds of silence, and I'll reintroduce you. All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn and Rick Warner. And we're in the studio here with Howard Dvorkan, who's going to continue on with us about credit counseling. But when we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question. Which James Bond girl married a Beatle and starred in The Spy Who Loved Me? And Howard, I think you know the answer to that.
Yeah, but I'm not going to say, or should you want me to say?
No, go ahead. It's okay to say now.
Barbara Bach.
Barbara Bach. Johann Sebastian Bach's great. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
I wanted to say pussy galore.
I
I just like saying it.
Yeah. Okay, Rick, you have a question for Howard.
Yeah, Howard, a lot of people today, with the way things are going with the housing market, are facing the decision to do a short sale for their home or foreclosure. And one of the things that would impact that decision is, what's the impact going to be on my credit? Can you talk to that a little bit about the difference between the two and how that impacts your credit?
Well, either way, if you're going to do a short sale or a foreclosure, to be very candid with you, they both impact your credit reports in a very significant way. Typically, people stop paying their bills in both their mortgage payments in both scenarios. The difference is doing it with your bank's permission and guidance, and essentially getting released for the deficit, the difference between what you owe them and the house for what the house sells for. A lot of the times in the short sales, that's a negotiation process versus a foreclosure, which is get out of my house in 1 week that I own, and essentially we're going to sue you for the balance. So you got to be very careful. Short sales take an incredible long time, and a lot of consumers are not very happy with it, but in the end, both damage your credit report.
So, and actually, I appreciate you talking about the difference on the process itself. but can you give us an idea of just specifically the difference on credit score, or how long it would take to repurchase a home versus foreclosure, short sale, or is that?
Short sales, the lender looks at the short sale in a more positive manner, meaning you worked with the bank. You didn't go through and make them go through the whole hassle of foreclosing on you. So when you go to get another loan, it's usually looked upon by the new lender as more favorable.
You know, Howard, the thing that's making me nervous is that makes common sense. And I don't like common sense.
You know, nothing with mortgages makes sense right now. I mean, you're dealing with bureaucracy, you're dealing with the government, and to be very candid with you, there's a lot of red tape. I mean, at Consolidated Credit, we have one of the largest housing practices in the country, and certainly we have to deal with a lot of that nonsense and a lot of bureaucracy, but we do a great job for clients. But at the same time, you know, consumers have to realize that this is a long process. It doesn't happen overnight.
And Rick, off air, he was asking, you know, what do you charge for your services?
Well, it depends. It depends on what we're doing for the people. The majority of our services are free. We don't charge for counseling. We don't charge for giving advice. All our educational information is available on the website at consolidatedcredit.org. And there's tremendous information. There's probably 70 or 80 different courses you could take. But if somebody was to go into one of our plans, like our debt management plan, depending on the state you live in, it is very inexpensive. I think in California our average fee is maybe $19 a month. But in order for us to charge you, it's an unwritten rule here, but we got to charge you at least 5 times, or you got to save at least 5 times as much as we're going to charge you for us to charge you a fee.
Hey, Howard, I think it bears repeating that your services of credit counseling is not the same as debt settlement. We were talking in between off the air about how debt settlement companies can really impact your credit in a negative way. And so when you're doing credit counseling with people, so you're not promising to eliminate or carve up their debt, but is it more of a repayment strategy, or how does that work?
That's a great question. I mean, debt settlement, you have to stop paying your bills, and eventually not paying your bills is going to make your credit go south real quick. To be very candid with you, you only do that for certain circumstances if you don't care about your credit, but realizing that 7 years later you're still going to have a problem with that. But essentially, with our plan at Consolidated Credit, you're going to pay back your creditors, but at a much different pace. Meaning, instead of making your payments for the next 20 years, you may make your payments for only 3 years. And your payments are going to be about 30% less than what they are today. And you're going to pay your creditors in full, and you're going to still maintain your credit report. Whereas debt settlement, and I know there's a lot of debt settlement companies in California, and that was the birthplace for them. And essentially, your credit is going to get impacted negatively.
Hey, Howard,
you like it or not.
Howard, let me interrupt you for a second. I'm trying to do the math here.
Sounds like magic.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. How can you go from 20 years to 3 years and go from 100 cents to 70% and get it paid off without reducing the actual debt, or the interest rate's got to come down way?
Well, that's what it is. Right now, if you're making payments on your credit cards, you're paying 75 to 80% of your payments are going towards interest. You're not getting anywhere. Your principal is moving at a very slow pace, and essentially it will take you, depending on the level of debt and depending on the interest rate you're being charged, it's going to take you years to pay off that debt. With our plan, we turn that around. We go through, we negotiate your interest rates to bring that down to maybe 25% of your payment is going towards interest, and 75% of your payment every month is going directly towards principal.
And then
you're going to accelerate that. Typically, our clients stay on our program anywhere from 3 to 4 years, and we get them out of debt. The average client stays on our program at a 36, 38 months, somewhere around there.
And is the creditor still getting 100 cents on the dollar?
They get 100 cents on the dollar of what you owe, but we negotiate the interest, and depending on the creditor, some are going to waive interest completely, and some are going to reduce it substantially. And essentially, they want their money. They're going to get 100%. And the deal is, you pay me 100%, I'm going to reduce your interest to a reasonable rate, and I'm not going to screw up your credit.
And, yeah, I was going to say, and you're not having them reduce their principal, and you're also not telling the client that he stops paying his payments.
No, we're not. Clients are going to make their payments, but just in a much more accelerated manner. But also, our payments are 30 to 50% less
that's great.
than what you were paying before.
Okay, and Mark's got one more question. Then we're going to have to let you go.
Hey, Howard. So does that work for someone like, obviously, if someone's got $25,000 in credit card debt, cumulative, does that? What about someone who's got maybe 100 or 150? I've run into people in my work that sometimes have 100,000 or more in credit card debt. Does your program work for them?
The biggest client I ever had, the gentleman owed $350,000 in credit card debt.
Oh, wow.
You know what? And that wasn't all his debt. He also had some bills to the IRS, which wasn't fun. So we help anyone from, truthfully, down to $2,000 up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. It doesn't matter. We will help anybody that calls us.
Okay.
That's our job.
And Howard, how do people get a hold of you if they want?
Well, they have a couple ways to get a hold of us. One is to call our certified credit counselors at 1-800-299-HELP. That's 1-800-299-4357. The other way is hit our website at consolidatedcredit.org. Our website is probably one of the most advanced websites in the industry because it has a tremendous amount of educational content there, and it gives you a good overview of what we do.
Great. Howard Dvorkan, thank you so much for being with us, and I'm sure our listeners will start calling you. All right.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Howard.
Thanks, Howard.
Okay, so we are
Good
going.
stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. We are going to cut to our second commercial break. Again, the theme is the women of James Bond films. Before we do, we had a special trivia contest last week where the winner was going to get a 2-night stay at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel with breathtaking views of the city and one of the city's best restaurants called Brassiere S&P. Mandarin Oriental San Francisco aims to delight the perfect blend of California charisma and Oriental charm. The hotel has completed a full renovation. Centrally located, Mandarin Oriental is within walking distance of Fisherman's Wharf, Union Square, Chinatown, and the Ferry Building. Mandarin Oriental's elegant rooms and suites boast of fabulous amenities complemented by incredible views of the city, the bay of San Francisco's iconic suspension bridges. Their new spa offers a range of luxury treatments. Check them out at MandarinOriental.com/San Francisco.
Easy for you to say.
It is very easy for me to say. Okay, and here was the question. 10 years ago, this wasn't in the top 10, but now is that couples fight about. What is it? Anybody?
Texting, cell phones?
Nope. It is recording shows on the DVR. Now, my wife and I don't fight about this because she doesn't know I have one. Okay, and our winner was Joni from San Jose. Okay, now we're going to cut to the second commercial break. And here's the trivia question. Again, the theme is women of James Bond films. This is a little tougher. Who played the only girl to marry James Bond? And hint, it was in the film On Her Majesty's Secret Service. The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Who played the only girl to marry James Bond? And the hint is the film was On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Again, call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name and your email address and speak slowly and spell it out for us. And we'll be right back. Okay. All right, now we're going to get into the good stuff.
Yes.
Were you telling me to step back from the...
No, what's going on is going...
Oh, I'm breathing. Oh,
Yeah.
Stop breathing.
Stop breathing.
It's a nose breather. Better than a mouth breather, I guess.
Thank you for telling me.
Sure.
No idea.
Larry Lee, that had been the funniest.
We had a whole
one.
show where the guest did that whole show, and they had to like cut his mic.
Yeah.
So we'll get right into Rick.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what she said.
No, I want Rick to get right into me.
So that's on all the time.
That's on all the time. Yes.
Good to know. Oh, boy.
We try to keep it clean.
We try, but
a
it's
little
hard.
PG every now and again.
Yeah.
Not too much hard.
Now, so I was going to let you know that, my thoughts for the day. I'm going to pull the same one that we did a few years ago, which was the. I'm never sure I guessed that time, but it's going to be, Martin, does this rag smell like chloroform to you? And then you said, if you're going to. No, here you go. First say, well, hold on, let me find out. And then just total silence, and then I'll come back in. That'll be fun. We would like to joke around. That's the one thing people like. But I get some people to stay on the whole time, and they'll answer all three questions because they're listening the whole time. They like the personal touch that we do and stuff.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so Rick, we're gonna get right into you.
Who are you, and why should I care? I won't say that.
No, yeah.
We do 10 minutes? I just want to tell us.
Yeah,
I do say 10 minutes roughly per segment.
It's roughly. Yeah.
And the last one we get exact.
Yes,
So
exactly.
We've got leniency the first three.
Correct. Okay. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hoff of Pacific Private Money, and we have in the studio here Rick Warner of Keller Williams Realty. And when we come to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question: who played the only girl to marry James Bond? And hint, it was on the film On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Ursula Andress.
No, that was Dr. No.
Is it bad that I don't even know what that movie is?
Can you call
Have you heard of James
girls?
Bond?
On
Just
that?
kidding.
I'm aware of James Bond.
There are
I-
Bond women now and not Bond girls.
Well, that's true. Diana Rigg. Do you remember the Avengers?
The Avengers.
Remember with
You guys are
Patrick
way
Steve?
older.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, we are.
I know. Again, my kids tease me that when God said, "Let there be light," I was the guy who flipped the switch. Okay, we are in the studio again with Rick Warner of Keller Williams Realty, and now Rick was a guest. Oh gosh, I guess about 2 years ago. But he's so good and so good looking.
So good.
That-
You only waited 2 years to
We-
come.
exactly. Now we're going to start having you back.
I'm impressed right now myself.
We're going to have you back as a co-host. Tell people what you do, and then we actually have a question that we received that seems like it's right up your alley. But
Okay.
we'll get into that in just a minute. Tell us who you are.
And so, I'm a real estate broker, actually. I do work with Keller Williams Realty, and I serve mainly Marin and southern Sonoma counties. I do help people focused in residential sales, both on the listing side, in other words, helping them sell their house, or helping them purchase homes, and all the facets that go along with that. So,
Okay, now there's a million real estate people out there.
there literally is a million.
Yeah, there really is.
Yeah.
But you're kind of special.
Oh, that's nice.
That's right. But now tell us why, and if you can't remember, I'll tell you why.
He's special, all right.
We'd have to call my wife. I don't know. I'm not sure what makes me that special. No, I mean, I'm not sure what answer
Well,
you're specifically.
I was remembering
Okay.
short sales
Okay.
seem to have been one of your specialties.
Absolutely. Well, that's true that I have been, I don't want to say lucky enough, but certainly experienced enough in having done several short sales, helping both buyers purchase short sales and then sellers decide to do short sales on the listing side. So, yeah.
Well, and go ahead.
And I'm hearing that, like, in 2013, that's predicted to be, like, the year of the short sale. Is that what your crystal ball's telling you, or?
I'll tell you, I hear lots of different rumors. I mean, there's still there's still the tidal wave, supposedly, of
The tsunami
of foreclosures coming through. I'm seeing, actually, the banks are actually more and more willing to work with people on modifications and other things. So I'm not sure how much more, there are going to be in terms of
exactly.
short
That might
sales.
limit some of the short sales.
It has. I mean, and in fact, the biggest hot button right now in real estate is there's no inventory. I mean, there's nothing. You want to have around 4 months worth of inventory, and there's less than a month. Like throughout the whole Bay Area, where I serve, of course, in Marin, Sonoma County, it's the same thing. There's just nothing available.
And that's probably not just Marin. I mean, you got San Jose is probably close.
Oh,
It's
no,
all
I mean,
over the Bay
the whole Bay Area
Area.
is the exact same
Yeah.
scenario, yeah.
Okay. Well, here, let's just get ready, if you don't mind, get into, we get a lot of emails from people, and sometimes it has to do with, financial stuff, like, where's the best place to put your IRA, or, that sort of thing. But we got one here that seems to be right up your alley. I've been thinking about buying a short sale property. How long should I expect it to close?
Yeah.
That's a good question, because in the old days, it was like 6 months or longer.
Well, then we're still living in the old days.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Right.
the truth is that you should be prepared for 3 to 6 months. Now, there's a lot of different factors that go into that, the actual answer. But, if it's just a raw short sale, there's been no negotiations with the bank yet, which is what most of them are. You kind of go in with the offer and your paperwork and go, hey, will you, actually just a reminder for people, a short sale means that you're selling a house that's worth less than what you owe. And so you're going to have to go to the bank kind of hat in hand and go, hey, we can only get this much, will you take it? And so that process, still I tell people 3 to 6 months. Could it be sooner than that? Absolutely. But that's the short version.
As a short sale specialist, are you able to get any money for your clients when they do a short sale? In other words, is there any like walking money for them or
Yeah.
cash for keys type of thing?
That's a great question. So there's a couple different programs. There's a government program which is called HAFA, where you can get up to $3,000 if you qualify, and there's a whole bunch of different criteria for that, whether you can qualify for that or not. There's also a lot of the bigger banks have their own internal kind of version of HAFA where you get like about $2,500. Now, the latest thing is, or I don't know if it's the latest thing, but one of the things that we're dealing with now is, for example, Bank of America has a special program where they're giving some people up to $30,000 to do a short sale, depending on
Now
their.
that's a real number because I'm thinking 2,500,
Yeah.
3,000. It costs more than that to move.
It
That's a
does,
good point.
but don't forget, and with all due respect to the people that are facing the short sale, a lot of these people have not paid their mortgage for a year or two.
That's a
So,
good point.
so theoretically, you should have saved up a couple of dollars to be able to move into
Yeah,
a
they're,
place
they're
as well.
buying widescreen TVs and enjoying life, and
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
not enjoying
So,
life, but at least
And the credit score's been dropping.
yeah.
yeah, back to our last guest, exactly. Yeah.
So if people, let's say the audience out there, someone is saying, gosh, I sure wish I knew of a broker who specialized with short sales for an investment property.
Yeah.
I mean, you could help them. That doesn't have to be personal residence.
No, well, it certainly doesn't. The thing I wanted to point out about the upside from an investment standpoint of what's great about short sales is there's kind of the least amount of people watching the shop, so to speak. In other words, the seller is not really concerned about getting every dollar. Like if you buy what's we call a regular sale, they want to try and get every single dollar. They don't want to negotiate, so forth. On a short sale, they're not getting any money. Well, the impact on them is almost irrelevant.
Yeah.
The bank is only going to look at what what's called the BPO, the broker price opinion, which is a third party to go in, look at the asset, whether it's an investment property, residential, whatever, and they're going to go, we think the property is worth this much. As long as the bank is getting something close to that, they're going to accept it. Well,
Sure.
if that guy that goes, or gal that goes and assesses that property happens to be wrong by 10 or 15 or 20%, which they can because they might be from out of the area, they may not know the local stuff that's going on, you can get some really great deals on the purchase side as long as you're willing to be patient on the short sale.
And regular listeners to the show know that most of my clients are real estate investors, and I provide hard money loans for them to help them buy investment properties to fix and flip or hold for rental property.
Right.
And in fact, very few, most of the applications I'm getting now are not for bank-owned or REO properties, but are in fact for short sale contracts that have finally been accepted maybe months after they made the offer. And so a lot of my clients are running around making lots of short sale offers, and when they come back, all of a sudden it's okay, well I got 2 weeks to close, and every now and again I see a contract that's just unbelievable, like you said, 20% under market, and you won't get that on the MLS if you're buying off a retail product, a bank REO. You're bidding against everybody else, but short
Sure.
sales do still present the opportunity to make a really nice return if you make enough offers out there.
Well, and especially in the environment we're in now, we've got a couple articles you guys have talked about or are going to talk about with the fact is that prices are going up.
Yep.
So a lot of these sales you're talking about, they got into contract 6-9 months ago, and the prices were lower. Prices have gone up, but this is still the locked-in price where they purchased it, right?
Very
So all of a
good.
sudden, those investors are able to close that deal and literally turn around and sell it for a profit, including commissions and everything else. and they've
Just
done
like
almost
the old
nothing.
days, don't escrow type thing, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And Rick, so how do people get a hold of you if they're interested in knowing more about short?
Well, my website is rickwarnersellshomes.com. My email is rick.warner@sbcglobal.net. But honestly, the best thing to do is call me on my cell phone, 415-302-6348. You can also text that number. And I'm kind of obsessive about returning those phone calls, so it drives my wife crazy.
Yeah.
But
3 in the morning? No, just kidding. Okay,
I
we're going
did
to...
freak somebody out who actually logged on to my website one time at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I happened to be up.
Oh,
So I
wow.
called them and went, hey, I see you're on my website. They're like, wow, you
Are
are
you wearing
really on
clothes?
top of it. Yeah.
You sure
What are you
you're
wearing
in...
right now? Yeah.
You sure you're in Pacific
His name
time?
was Jim, so that was weird. I didn't. Just kidding.
Okay, we're going to cut to our third and final commercial break, and real quick thing here. Next week, we're actually going to have another special trivia contest, and the winner's going to get a 2-night stay at the Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel. Yeah, inspirations of the season at the Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel in Southern California will have you relaxing with time by the Pacific. Enjoy overnight accommodations and breakfast for two, starting at only $450 a night. Be inspired this holiday season, because we're going to be coming to the end of it here pretty soon. Reservations can be made by calling the Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel at 800-241-3333. That's 800-241-3333, or visit www.ritzcarlton/lagunainspirations.com. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Laguna Niguel,
No.
Ritz-Carlton. It is phenomenal.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really, really sweet place. Okay, here is our third and final trivia question of James Bond women. Which Bond girl also was a member of the TV show Charlie's Angels in the last season? Hint, the Bond movie was called A View to a Kill. The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer the question. Which James Bond girl was also a member of the TV show Charlie's Angels in their last season? Hint, the Bond movie was A View to a Kill. Make sure to include your name, your email address, speak slowly, and spell out your information for us one letter at a time. And we're going to be right back. Excellent. Anyone know the answer to that one?
Nope.
No, but
Where's my address?
But at least I know the Charlie's Angels. Although the last season,
The last
they were down to just Jacqueline Smith, as far as I know. I mean, and then
Well, who's that new
Charlie's
blonde?
Angel?
The newer blonde.
there was
No,
always
that
a
was,
new.
that was Cheryl Ladd.
No,
Cheryl Ladd.
Cheryl
Not
Ladd
Cheryl
was
Ladd.
on the whole time, wasn't she?
No.
Oh, it was Kate Smith, Kate Jackson,
No, it was
Farrah
Farrah
Fawcett.
Farrah Fawcett,
Kate Jackson,
Kate Jackson,
and Jacqueline Smith.
Jacqueline Smith. Yeah, that was the
I know my
original.
Charlie's Angel.
Yeah, that's good.
I like that we've done it.
Yeah.
We've done a Charlie's Angel.
Sorry.
Yeah, that didn't work on
We
the
didn't
reboot, did it? Didn't they try to have a redo of Charles?
Oh, they did. Yeah, like
The
a
movie
year,
they
couple
did,
years
but
ago.
didn't they try to do the
They
TV
did,
show?
yeah. Yeah.
And, was it Kevin Spacey who played the
Charlie
Bosley or whatever? No,
Bosley?
no, not Charlie, but the guy. Yeah,
Bosley.
Bosley, I guess.
Bosley in the movies was Bill Murray, wasn't it?
Yes.
The movie versions.
I don't like Bill Murray, so.
Drew Barrymore,
Yeah,
the Lucy Liu.
Lucy
Lucy Liu, yeah. That new show she's on is pretty good, actually.
Is it
Holmes or
Holmes? Yeah, I've got him TiVo'd, but I've only watched like the first couple.
that's exactly what I've done. Yeah,
you TiVo a lot of stuff, don't you?
Oh yeah, in fact, I can't wait to get like the 4-tuner TiVo, so like there's never going to be an argument about what we record, because you can record 4 shows simultaneously on it. It's like
Okay,
got a
that's
2 terabyte hard drive.
Why do they call it trigabyte? You know, because it's
Trilobite.
Yeah. Okay.
How many do we have?
That's what I'm figuring out here.
Did we have email time for me? I don't remember.
Of course we do.
Okay, and then we can talk about
The email is, if I sign up with your company to get notices of deals, generally how long until you call me for a deal? And how long do I get to
a
decide if I
long
want?
flipping time.
is every day too often?
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
I've got a deal.
Yeah.
always hate it when it's a short 4 segments. That's good. All right.
See, next time we have you and Jeremy, then he'll like that. There won't be any additional calls. We'll just have the three.
Yep.
The Four Stooges.
Okay, so after we do your email time, then we'll get into just what's going on with.
Yeah, well, just talk about the 20, median price in the Bay Area of 20% and what that means, and whatever sales of existing homes.
All right, let's do
Our crystal ball for 2013.
5 seconds of silence.
Tsunami.
Go ahead and answer your personal address.
Okay.
Okay, ready? Okay. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn of Pacific Private Money and Rick Warner of Keller Williams Realty. When we got to the third commercial break, we asked this trivia question: which James Bond girl was also a member of the TV show Charlie's Angels in the last season? And the hint, the Bond movie was A View to a Kill. Mark.
Ursula Andress.
Ursula Andress, no. She would have been about 125 years old back then.
What about Pussy Galore?
The Pussy Galore, no. She would have been about 85 years old. No, just kidding.
Weird.
No, Tanya Roberts.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot she was Charlie.
Yeah.
I can't even act like I know what that means.
And as Rick was saying off the air, they were down to Charlie's Angel by the time it was.
Yeah, they jumped the shark.
They jumped the shark. Okay, Mark, we had received an email for you. It says, if I sign up with your company to get notices of deals, generally how long until you call me for a deal, and how long do I get to decide if I want to invest? That's a really good question.
So I'll set up the question for new listeners. Mark Hanf, I'm president of Pacific Private Money. We're a Bay Area hard money lender, private money lender. You can call it the same thing. We make loans to real estate investors that the banks don't make, and we fund those loans with private individual capital. So I've got actually a couple hundred clients, actually a little bit more than that, several hundred clients in our database that regularly look at and review and decide whether they want to invest in a loan that's secured by a deed of trust on Bay Area property. And those loans are normally no higher than 70% loan to value. And so the caller is asking, well, if I sign up, which you can do on our website, or you can certainly call or send an email to sign up to be on our distribution list of trust deed investment opportunities. And so what we do whenever we underwrite a loan request, and we get several per week, we will, ones that we greenlight, ones that we believe are fundable and have the metrics of safety and security that we'd like to see in the loan request, we will put a color overview together, one page, convert it to PDF, and shoot it out by email to our database. Now, we don't normally blast out to everybody because we've kind of chopped up our database into various categories of investors who are looking for certain types of loans. So, but really, the answer to the question is the squeaky wheel gets the grease in our company. There are people who have been on our distribution list for a while, longer than a year, and have never been able to get in on a deal because they don't respond quickly enough. And so sometimes we will get comments of frustration from people going, well, every time I call about a deal, it's already been sold to somebody else. And we said, well, how about you tell us, give us a really good idea of what you're looking for, and we'll try to hand carry one to you. And so we've actually been doing that quite a bit lately because we now have, our investor list has grown considerably in the last year, and so we're doing that. So that's really the answer, and I think that's going to be true with any private lending company, brokerage in the Bay Area. You're going to want to, establish a relationship with them, get on the phone, and say,
sure.
Hey, can you maybe give me a first look at something?
Well, you can. I mean, some people, if they're going to demand 20% loan to value, there's not going to be too many deals they're going to be handed.
Well, and we can talk about that on the phone when you call. Is that the more flexible you are, and of course, if you're experienced, if you've done this before, you kind of have a flavor for it, then that just makes it all that much easier. Because quite frankly, most of the loan requests we get need to close quickly. Like, it's not unusual to get a call on Friday and say, hey, can you fund by next Friday or next Thursday or Friday? So it does require me to underwrite it quickly, and then I need to get a funding commitment relatively quickly. So it's not unusual for us to get a funding commitment within 24 hours of having underwritten that deal and put together an overview. So it is something that you don't get to sit on for several days, because by the time you call or email, it's already been sold maybe 5 times.
And the thing is, your database is large enough that where you don't have to actually fund the loan yourself. You can pretty much tell your borrowers if you like the loan. You're pretty sure you're going to be able to get somebody in.
We have not left a borrower at the altar this year. And in fact, we just went over 165 loans for 2012, and in the hard money loan brokerage, that's actually pretty good. In fact, I'd be surprised if anyone else in the Bay Area has done more than that. So at Pacific Private Money, we're one of the busiest shops for hard money real estate loans.
And what kind of rates are you giving?
It depends. I mean, as low as 8 and as high as 12, it just really depends on the metrics of the deal. Is it short term? Is it long term? Is it low LTV? Is it high LTV? Is it a fix and flip? Or are you holding it for a couple of years for rental property? It's a dynamic. Yeah, it's really hard to quote rates.
Of course, it's just kind of get a general feel for it.
I'm not even sure it's legal.
Well,
it's just a range.
Range, yes.
People want to get a hold of me, go to my website, pacificprivatemoney.com, all one word, of course, pacificprivatemoney.com, or call our office. It's 415-883-2150, and of course, we'll be back open again after the new year.
Okay, we had a couple of interesting articles that we were all kind of pointing to. Home prices look like they're continuing to rise anywhere 5 to 7%, according to this article in Yahoo. And mortgage availability will be further curtailed by new regulations by Mark's favorite thing, Franken-Dot, as he calls it. And then the rates are going to be more expensive. What else do you have?
Well, there was this article, and I wanted to see what Rick thought about this. It just came out this week that the median price for a home in the Bay Area is up almost 21% from November a year ago. Now, and they're making a lot of hay with this article, and I think what needs to be said is that doesn't mean your house went up in value by 20% necessarily.
Not exactly necessarily is the operative word.
Did someone's house go up 20%?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I mean, there has been, in fact, people that have gone up even more than that.
Well, that's what they probably counterbalance.
Particularly the ones that went way down in value. I think there are areas of the Bay Area that went up really high and then came down crashing, maybe as much as 70 or 70%.
Yeah, and so those maybe went back up.
Well, Contra Costa County apparently is the highest, has the highest growth in median. It's up 26%, and so that's and again, that's not necessarily inflation. That just means the mix of homes that are selling, the median is falling at a number that's 20% or more higher.
And actually, another factor, we talked about this off air, that the reality is we don't really know what's quantifying those numbers, and so it's always frustrating. And it doesn't matter whether we're going down or going up. You get these headlines that that everybody wants to read so they can sell advertising. But then you get into the nuts and bolts of it, and it's like, well, what are they really saying? And one of the things that's a big factor this last year was how many $1 million and $2 million, $3 million homes were sold, which greatly skew that number, right, from a median standpoint. Lots of cash. I mean, I sold 26 houses this year, I think, and half of them were cash.
Yeah, it's interesting. All
right?
those people have that much cash.
So it just, it is a very interesting time. There's no question that there is the home values are going up. Whether that's sustainable, who knows? But it's attributable to ridiculously low interest rates.
Well, why did those people? Why did they pay cash? Why did they get some loan?
Right. Yeah, it's a good. I don't have
close
a great
quickly,
answer.
really. Isn't that
Well,
usually
that's definitely a part of it. Is that they can go in and if
no
they're-
contingency offer.
no contingent, no appraisal, right? And so a lot of these homes are multiple offer. I'd venture to say 80% of the deals I did this year were multiple offer, which means we're in there. We're competing with other people. We have to make the deal look as good as possible.
I think one reason we're up as high as we are year over year is, in my opinion, November of 2011 was like right at the bottom of the market. I mean, it was really hard
so
to sell just
2012
about
was
anything.
good.
So I think it's a little bit skewed that way.
Okay, guys, we're gonna have to say sayonara here. So here is our thoughts for the day. Over 350 million people suffer from FAD, Facebook addiction disorder. That's a scary
My
one.
wife has that, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, and hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Can you smell this? Does this smell like chloroform to you?
Wait a minute, hang on.
Mark? Tune in next week to the Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. And by New Year's Eve, I'm sure Mark will be awake. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown. We're wishing you the best of investing. So long.